Hey guys, hi. Welcome to Real Talk with Salwa. My name is Salwa, I'm your host, and I'm very excited to be talking to you right now. It's been a minute. Today, we're going to have a number of things to talk about. We always record several episodes at once, so please never really mind when you see us, speaking about different things but dressed the same way. We just do that as our way of, because of time, we do it in such a way that we are recording so many episodes at a go. So today we're going to record multiple episodes, but I'm very excited about the first thing that I'm going to talk about today, which is under our e-learning series. I told you about an e-learning series where we're going to be learning about different aspects, different things about our lives. So this is actual learning, like learning about the law, learning about something that is very pertinent and a business, or something very pertinent about our lives, things that are really important that we often overlook. For example, if you want to buy land, what should you consider? So we are going to have a lawyer here who is going to tell us what are the things to really, really consider when you buy land. Right now we just found out somebody bought property, and when they went to submit their building plan for approval, they couldn't get an approval, and they were told that on that property they cannot construct the building that they want to construct. So did you know that when you're buying land, you also need to first go and consult and see whether you can be able to do or develop that land in the way that you want to develop it? Do you know that that is now a thing? Because you might buy your property, and then when you go to submit your plans for approval, they tell you, you cannot put such a structure on this property because of ABCD. I'm not going to get into details of that because it is something that, you know, we're going to be talking about when we talk about what should you do when you buy land. So we're going to be learning a lot of things on our e-learning series. But today, this is about banking and finance. Do you know what happens if you lose your phone, or if your online banking information is compromised and then someone ends up taking your money? Have you ever thought about what happens to you, or how do you recover that money? Because some people do not know. So there is a recent case which was decided on the 3rd of August. The case is Nakku Joweria versus Stanbic Bank Uganda Limited. It was a case where this lady was suing the bank because she lost her funds. So after losing her funds, I believe the person who stole the funds was able to sign her up for FlexiPay, because you can sign up for FlexiPay using a USSD code. I had no idea. But anyway, yes, you can sign up for FlexiPay using a USSD code, and because of that, her bank was cleared of 68 million in 24 hours. This person kept transacting, taking out the money, taking out the money. The way the person did it was in such a way that you would think she's the one who is doing all these transactions. So anyway, when her funds were stolen, she only reported to MTN and Airtel. So she told them her funds were stolen. She did not inform her bank. Unfortunately, she didn't inform her bank until a month later, when she realized that this money had been taken out of her account. So, fast forward, she sues the bank because she wants to recover this money. She's saying, you should have blocked these transactions. You shouldn't have made these payments. Because you made these payments, this person was able to access my money, and this person took all my money in 24 hours. She also said she never used to use that account. It's a savings account. So she said, I never used to use this. So you should have known that if there is someone transacting this frequently on the account within 24 hours, you should have known, telling the bank, you should have known that it was not me, and you should have flagged those transactions. So she sued the bank. The bank tried to settle with her to pay her 34 million and have the matter settled. But that didn't come through. She wanted all the money, the 68 million, and also she wanted damages. So basically, damages. It's like money you ask from a person when you feel like whatever they have done has hurt you, emotionally hurt you. So she was asking for damages because of the stress that has caused her. This whole thing has caused her. Anyway, so she sued the bank, and she lost, unfortunately, because of mainly because she did not inform the bank when her phone was stolen, or her phones were stolen, and her credentials. So because she did not inform the bank, someone was able to utilize the information they had, because usually I think uh, in most cases when you lose your phones, someone has probably snatched your bag, so they have your national ID, they have all your other documents, or someone can actually get that information just by looking into your phone. So there is so much someone can do just by having your phone. So basically this lady lost because the court said she should have informed the bank immediately when her phones were stolen, so that the bank is aware that any transactions that are happening through her phone, or digital transactions that are happening, are not from her, but they are from the thieves. So because she didn't inform the bank, she lost. She wasn't able to prove that the bank failed to do what it is supposed to do. So in case you do not know, the bank has a duty of care. So banks owe us a duty of care to ensure that our money is safe, to ensure that no one is going to transact on our accounts and take out our money without our permission. So banks have that duty of care. However, that duty of care has a certain limit, because there is no way, a bank doesn't have superpowers. So a bank will not know when someone is transacting and they have your password, they have your information clearly online. The bank will not know that this is a thief. It cannot know. There is no way it can tell. And also, a key thing is, because she said, okay, maybe the bank cannot tell, but it should have known because I don't transact on this account. But the court said that that alone is not enough for a bank to be suspicious. The mere fact that you don't use an account and then you wake up one day and you're using it frequently, like in 24 hours, you're using it every hour, that alone doesn't mean that the bank is supposed to flag those transactions and say, oh, Salwa doesn't usually use her account. Why is she using it too much today? Because at the end of the day, again, and this was also said in that case, the bank has a duty to obey customer requests. So whatever the customer wants, if you're a customer of a bank and you go to the bank and you want money, it has to give you your money. It has to give you your money unless there is reason to think that you're not the person who is entitled to that money. And in this case, there was no reason to believe that, because everything was done through the right way, like online. You know the thing about transacting online. And that's why we have to be very careful when we sign up for online, or digital services. There is no face to it in most cases. You don't have to have a face to it. If you have my phone password and you have my PIN for mobile banking, you can access money through my account. You can go and enter my bank account and get money from my bank account onto any phone number. So that is how it works. There is no face to it. So banks cannot usually tell that it is this person who is actually transacting. What banks have to do is, as long as the information that is put inside a system is correct, they have to give the person the money. So it's very unfortunate what happened to this person, but it is also a learning lesson. It is something that should be a lesson to all of us who use digital services. If you're a person who has any digital services, mobile money, mobile banking, FlexiPay, Momo, all these digital, there are so many transactions that we do online, or digital services that we have online. If anything is compromised, your phone, your passwords, your email, if anything is compromised, because when someone gets into your email or your phone or gets your passwords, they can do anything. If any of that is compromised, please call your bank immediately. And banks have 24 hours customer service, or at least they're supposed to. If your bank doesn't have 24 hours customer service, then you should probably switch and get another bank. Banks have 24 hours customer service. I'm a customer of Stanbic Bank, and I remember sometime I wanted to block a transaction and I called at midnight and they were able to block it. Because someone picked up and they were able to block it. So banks have 24 hours customer service regardless, even if you're in the bar or you're out doing whatever you're doing. If your phone is compromised, make sure you inform the bank immediately so that the bank can take steps to protect your money. And the moment you inform the bank, what the bank will do is will cancel all your digital services. And then no one will be able to access your money. Sometimes people wait, your phone has been stolen at night, you wait until the morning before you report to the bank. But remember, between then and the morning, the person might have gotten all the information they need and they can still probably still take your money within that time period because the people steal these phones or the people who take this information, they're very smart people also. They know what to do. They know the moment they get our phones, the first thing they will look for is your mobile money. They will try so hard to get into your mobile money, to take out all the money in your account, and your bank, because now we have our banks are linked to our phones. So they'll try so hard. It is the one thing they'll first do. Some of them don't even want the phone, they want the money on the phone. So inform your bank immediately. And when you do this, when you do this is really important because when you take these steps, it means that if someone, let me say your phone has been stolen at midnight, you call the bank, you tell them at midnight, my phone has been stolen, block all digital transactions on my phone. You have fulfilled your duty as a customer or your responsibility as a customer to inform the bank. That means if someone is still able to transact on that account after that, then you can sue because you have informed the bank and the bank now has to ensure that it protects you as its customer. So if someone transacts after you have reported the bank and you have informed the bank about what has happened, then you can sue and you will be able to recover. So the liability of who is going to suffer this loss depends on how you act. If you do the right thing, inform the bank, tell them to block the transaction, and then if you do that, that means you're relieving yourself of suffering that loss. If it happens, the bank will be responsible. But if you don't do it, that means you have not done what you're supposed to do, then the bank will not be responsible because the bank will not be able to tell that your phones are compromised or that they have been stolen. It doesn't have superpowers. No, unless there is something that is extremely, extremely outrightly wrong. For example, some of these things that maybe would be a red flag to a bank. If someone is trying to transact amounts that are over and above your account balance, that might be a red flag because the bank will be like, you mean to tell me this person doesn't know the account balance? So sometimes when when a person is trying to transact an amount that is over and above the account balance, that could be a red flag. But simply saying these multiple transactions, someone is transacting so many times, there is no red flag there. You understand? But also, maybe another red flag would be someone trying to carry out like a transfer which is out of the ordinary. For example, if someone is trying to transfer a certain amount of money, with certain amounts of money, the banks have to first even call the customer and ask them, is it you transacting? That happens because if someone is trying to transfer 10,000 plus dollars to another account online digitally, I don't think it's possible in Uganda, but in some countries it is possible to do that digitally. But if someone is trying to do such a transaction, then the bank will most likely call and ask, is it you? And confirm that it is the person who is carrying out the transaction. I know this because it has happened to me before when I wasn't here in Uganda. So sometimes it happens. Also, if someone is trying to transact outside of certain jurisdiction, sometimes that can be a red flag and the banks might call. I'm not saying that if they don't call, then it means they are breaching their duty. But maybe that can also be a red flag. Why are you living in Uganda and you're transacting in the most? Because these are cards, for example, and also digital transactions. You can transact from anywhere. But imagine you live in Uganda and then you're transacting from a completely different, jurisdiction, a different country. Sometimes the banks can flag those transactions. I know this, it has also happened to me, where I got a message asking me whether it was me who was transacting outside of Uganda, and I had to say yes. And after I said yes, I was able to actually withdraw money from that ATM that I was at. I wasn't in the country. So some of these ways are ways that those are the things banks put in place to ensure that transactions that are out of the ordinary are flagged and that your money is protected. But again, the mere fact, as from this case that I have just told you about, the mere fact that there are so many transactions or someone is putting in a wrong pin, because sometimes these things try putting the wrong pins first and then eventually they are successful. That alone does not mean that the bank is wrong for eventually allowing the transaction to go through, because that's not a red flag. Even I myself put in a wrong pin in my own phone, so that is not a red flag. It doesn't necessarily mean that the bank is going to, oh my god, wrong pin. It gives you 3 times to try. So if you try the second time and it goes through, or if you try the second time and it fails, and then the third time it goes through, it's going to allow you to transact. So the mere fact that the first and second time failed doesn't mean that the bank has to flag that transaction. So you have to learn how to use digital services, but you also have to be very careful with your information and credentials. And this is what I take from this case. If there is anything you should take from this case, it is to protect your online uh, credentials. When it comes your phone, your information, protect it like your life depends on it, because losing 68 million in one day is not a joke. It is not a joke. And imagine now, this lady cannot recover this money from anywhere. It is gone, it is gone. The thieves have taken it, the bank will not give it to her because she has lost the case. So it is very unfortunate what happened, but that is just our law now. Pay attention. If your phone or phones get stolen, or your information gets stolen by even national IDs, even when your national ID is compromised, or whatever you use to open up your bank accounts, inform your bank. Don't just go to the police and MTN and Airtel. No, inform your bank so that they know that if someone presents this national ID with this ABCD, then this person might be a masquerader or something, so that it is there in their records. You understand? Anyway, that is it on that particular case. This is going to be a series where we learn every week, where we learn about something new under the law, something really important for us to learn. And I hope that you are now going to be paying attention to your phones and mobile banking information and protecting your credentials more carefully so that you don't lose your money and then lose the cases against the banks. Anyway, that's it. Bye for now.